Hello, everyone. Welcome to another one of our full package webinar series with Bo Digital. We're really excited to have you here today. I think these have been a really wonderful series to introduce a number of our customers to different products, services, and vendors that they haven't thought about previously or maybe have known for a long time but weren't quite sure what they do or have done in the past. And so we're really excited to share another one of these with our friends from AndersonBiro today. As always, if you're watching the recording of this, we'll have any questions in the description of the video and links to their website and ways to get in touch with our guests when we distribute this sometime next week. So be on the lookout for that. If you're here with us live, please feel free to use the chat function so we can get any questions that you may have answered. I always tell people for these webinars, be selfish with your time. You're here for a reason. If there's something really particular that you want Eric or Ryan to answer, please do so. We want you to feel like you got everything out of this. There are no silly questions. So if you don't know or aren't sure what we're talking about here, please let these guys know and we'll make sure that we get to that. Our guests today are Eric Biro and Ryan Anderson from AndersonBiro. I'm going to leave it to you guys to talk a little bit about what you do. I think that everybody knows you in some form or fashion in the title industry, especially, and in some ways in the broader real estate industry. But maybe just start out and give these guys a little bit of your background and what you can do to help title companies.
Yeah, Ryan, you want to take that?
Yeah.
I'm still thinking about the silly question thing, because if someone does ask a silly question, I'm going to call them out on it. So,
well, only it may not be silly questions, but there's definitely silly answers. Wayne and Heather, thanks so much for inviting us to join you today. And my name is Ryan Anderson. Of course, you have my business partner, Eric Biro, in one of these squares. I'm not sure which on your screen, but he's much better looking than me. So he's the good looking one. So just think about that. And so AndersonBiro, we're a retained executive search firm, and we specialize in the settlement services space. And we do that all over the country. Eric and I started this company. We were in the business for probably 4 or 5 years prior, but we started this company in 2007. And we've been doing it ever since and growing our practice along the way. And we have, first thing I probably should point out is we have a fantastic team, and they accomplish many, many things for us. And we're grateful to have them. And without them, we would not be here today. So let's start with that. But when it comes to a recruiting firm that specializes in the settlement services world, we're fairly well positioned to help our clients in this space and beyond. Really, anybody that touches the closing table, whether it be residential or commercial, we've worked with many clients in and around that table. And it's everything from really production level all the way up through senior level executive C-suite work and everything in the middle. That's a really broad view on what we do, and we work all over the country, obviously, from Miami up to Seattle and even San Diego, which will be next week at Alta One in San Diego, up to Boston and everything in the middle. So, Eric, do you want to add anything to that?
We were young when we started this at 26 and 27. We needed rent and beer money back in 2007. And wasn't the greatest time to start a recruiting firm specializing in title insurance. But, fast forward 15 and a half years, there's 9 of us on the executive search team. There's 5 of us in our staffing practice that's specializing in temp to perm work in just Ohio at the moment. But we've come a long way, and we've come a long way with our clients and partners that have it's not just our team here internally, but it's the folks that we work with externally. And Bo, you guys have done a great job with that. I see Brian Zolig is on the call and done a lot of work with them as well. So, and Ken is here as well, listening in. So, and this is recorded, right? Wayne, you mentioned this is going to be live for a while.
Yep, we will record. It's being recorded, and we'll put it out on YouTube and on social links and that sort of thing through Bo, and then we'll give it to you guys to share on your socials as well if you'd like to. Brian loves a good shout out. So you guys started all of this kind of in a down market, and now we're seeing this market shift. So what does that mean for hiring right now? For the last 2.5 years, a lot of people in this space have really felt like they can't hire fast enough, or they were making hiring decisions they wouldn't normally make, or they were just dealing with it, and buying pizza every day, hoping that would be okay with their overworked teams. But where does this, where the market's headed, where does that leave hiring in your guys' eyes right now?
It's definitely a challenging market. There's no doubt about it, right? We're seeing rates rise to levels we haven't seen in quite a while. That being said, there are still good opportunities for talent out in the marketplace. Our clients understand that they're switching focus from hiring lots and lots of production people to handle volume to now really focusing on leaders that know how to make money in a down market, branch talent that knows how to drive revenue in tough markets. So the teams are thinning out, but we are now looking for folks that really know, again, how to make money in a down market. That is one side, and then the flip side to that is the retention piece. Now more than ever, retention is key for trying to retain your key employees, if that makes sense. So we are in a down market. We're going to deal with a down market for quite a while. Unemployment is going to eventually rise across the board as soon as these issues hit manufacturing. We are going to see a spike in unemployment, and that's going to put further strains on volumes inside of real estate, both on the residential and commercial end. But that being said, there are still lots of good opportunities out there, and we're helping our partners with them.
Yeah, I just to add to that, I agree with Eric, and I think that it has been so busy for so long, really for years and years and years, that many people have not had a chance to breathe. Many hiring authorities have not had a chance to breathe, many employers. But what's been going on really since the interest rate environment has changed, I guess you could say early this year, late last year, severely, they're taking more time to think about their current team and how do they enhance their current team. And we've actually seen an influx this summer and through the fall and coming up through this wintertime of folks reaching out to us and saying, hey, look, I just haven't had time to address this need, but now I do. And can you guys help us with this? And in a lot of cases we can, of course, not in every case, but so it's providing an opportunity for employers to take a step back, breathe, look at the next wave of strategy, and then look to implement that strategy. And so we're doing our best to help with that.
Nice.
Yeah, you kind of, I guess, started to answer this question, but for those who have never considered a search firm, why would they want to use someone like AndersonBiro?
Yeah, great question. We, beyond having expertise in title, which is a big selling point for us, it really comes down to, do you have the time and bandwidth, right, to take on a search? If you're really good at leading a title company and running one or leading a sales team or leading an escrow team, you may not have time to go out of the marketplace. So beyond our expertise in the industry, it really does come down to time. Now, after that, that is where we really do sell our niche in this marketplace and our team's niche in the marketplace. We are not title insurance experts in any way, shape, or form. We're not appraisal management experts. We do a lot of space in that field as well, but we have a dedicated team here that stays very involved in Alta, ResPro, various land title associations. We network with inside of those groups. So, are we getting the best person? Yes, we are always trying to get the best person, but we think we can get there the quickest given our contacts. We're a very aggressive firm, and we will do what it takes to appropriately get the position filled, right? So I think it comes down to a number of different items, and recruiting firms aren't for everybody, right? So a lot of times we have these, let's call them client lead Zooms or client lead calls, right? And we will, oftentimes tell folks, okay, we're not the best fit for you, and here's what you should be doing, and here's how you could find people a little quicker without going to a recruiting firm. And Ryan and I We do a bunch of webinars throughout the year where we try to train folks in the business on how to go out and do their own recruiting. And then a lot of that's moving towards retention now as well.
And so for, this full package webinar series that we are doing is mostly for folks that work with Bo already. And we've got a number of, from vendors to underwriters to tiny abstractors to super large agents. What's the difference between, how or why an underwriter might work with you or use you guys versus an agent? Just to drill that down even a little further for them.
I think a lot of times it can, well, first of all, let me back up. So we do, of course, partner with underwriters, tend to be a little on the larger side in terms of organization size. We do have lots of clients that are agents. If you're talking about just the title space, of course, we do a lot outside of title, but title is one of our main bread and butter areas. But the underwriters tend to maybe be a little bit more well capitalized. And they can maybe make bigger moves. With that said, maybe what you're getting to is it okay for a smaller shop to work with a recruiting firm, whether it be us or somebody else? And the answer is, of course, yes. Now, what we do is you got to pay the bills. So there's just like any company, you have to charge certain fees around your service. And so, like many organizations, maybe our service fees are not the right fit for certain size organizations, and maybe they're better suited for large organizations. But I think at the end of the day, what people discover is that whether, like I said, with us or somebody else, if it's a good recruiter or good firm and they have access to the best candidates, they often ask themselves, is it worth paying a couple bucks to save me a bunch of headaches down the road? And is this person coming in, are they going to pay for themselves either with cost cutting measures or increased revenue or increased efficiency, et cetera? And the answer to that question is typically yes. And so if they have the wherewithal to invest in that type of process, then typically it ends up being a good situation for everybody, regardless of what size of company they are. So if it's an agent or an underwriter, to answer your question, Wayne, specifically, I don't know that necessarily matters as much. They want to make sure that they have the right plan in place, and sometimes that involves talking with a partner to figure out if it would even be effective to partner with that individual firm. And sometimes it doesn't, as Eric mentioned earlier. Sometimes it doesn't work, but oftentimes it does. It's really a case-by-case basis.
I always like to ask those questions because we also have just a number of underwriter partners that are always looking for resources for their agents. So it's good to hear all sides of it for them. But in this, so for those, sometimes there are folks on here that are actively looking and are hoping that they could be a candidate for one of your searches. So what are some, in this market that we're headed into, what are some of the tips that you would give candidates right now that are, kind of top of mind for some of your search clients?
The interesting dynamic that we have observed, so over the last several years, there's been essentially an arms race to attract talent. And that's not only in the settlement services space where we mostly affect, but it's really all of industries for the most part. There's compensation's been going up like crazy. This is not a secret. It all ties into inflation and vice versa, and it's a real challenge for a lot of organizations. And so, somebody that was maybe making X a few years ago is now making much more, and that's just the new normal, and that's what it takes to recruit that person over. And for the last several years, in particular, it's been a really intense arms race to attract and be able to pay the best talent. I think what is probably happening now is that has started to plateau for sure. And you're starting to see a little bit of reverse of the trend, at least in the settlement services space right now, because of the rate environment and because of lower volumes and lower production. But it's still much higher than it used to be.
Oh, yeah.
And we're probably not going back anytime soon. It's not how it works. Once it gets up there, it doesn't go back down very often. Same with taxes. Sorry,
Yeah, you
Corey.
may, I mean, we might see signing bonuses slim down a little bit, but the base numbers haven't moved. Now we're just into this, right?
Right.
We're just into this downturn, let's call it, for the past 6 months. So long term, I'm not quite sure what we're going to see, but Ryan's right. I don't think we're, where you could get a closer for 50 grand before and it's now 80,000. It's not going back to 55,000 in that market.
Right.
Yeah, but to answer your question, I think, Wayne, sorry, I got off on a little bit of a tangent there.
No, it's good.
A candidate that's looking to maybe make a move in pretty much every situation should at least be realistic on a few things. They should be realistic about their own capabilities, and they should also consider being realistic about the market in general. Because, as Eric mentioned, there are people, much like buying a house or anything where you're trying to do a deal, there are two sides to the equation. And if one side has unrealistic expectations, then the deal is probably not going to get done. So if the candidate's going into a situation where maybe they want to look around, they want to find a new position, or they want to find a new employer or a new career path, that you really have to go into that with an open mind and try to get away from backing yourself into a compensation corner where, look, I'm just not making a move for this amount or less, which if that is a detriment in the long term in terms of your happiness as an individual, and you're not taking the role because you have a certain number in your head that you have to get to, or else you're not going to do it, you got to ask yourself, is it worth making more where you're at today by sacrificing going to a new position where you're going to be maybe more happy or challenged or whatever the case may be? You have to balance that in your head, but at the very least, in order to account for all those variables, you have to keep an open mind going into any new hiring situation. That'd be my recommendation.
And then Wayne, one more thing, like that we still don't see as much at the branch level. We do see it with sales and mid-level, senior level management, but people need to be visible. So you have to be on LinkedIn, right? You have to be in the marketplace. You have to use social media to get your brand out there, your personal brand. You have to be networking. You have to be involved with associations. And if you do that as a candidate, I think that'll go, I mean, just, people are going to be able to find you. It's kind of a no-brainer.
Right.
There are still a lot of people that do not have LinkedIn accounts or don't have updated LinkedIn accounts or have, bio photos that are so out to date, that, you can't see them clearly. So you have to, in this market, especially, you have to sell yourself.
Yeah, and LinkedIn still touts their stats as 3 people are hired every minute on LinkedIn, and they're growing like crazy and lowering I think the age is 13 now, where they're trying to get high school students that may not be considering, a post-secondary education career path to still network and stuff. So it's more important than ever, that's for sure.
First of all, thank you, Brian, for being so active in the chat. He kind of goes along with kind of what you both were saying, but he had a question. It says, other than pay, what kind of benefits, perks, or work environments are candidates looking for these days? And has that changed?
Yeah, good questions. I mean, when we look at compensation, we look at base and bonus, right? Those are the 2 most important factors. Health insurance benefits are still extremely important day in and day out. The work environment of this remote workforce, we're still having a hard time getting people back into the office setting. And there's lots of trends around office settings, whether it's individualized offices or cubes or workstations or some sort of open environment. But the remote thing is still out there, and it's not likely to change in the near future. Even if unemployment peaks, there can still be some incentives to have employees at home versus having them on site and taking down additional office space. But I think beyond compensation, I think people are looking for good cultures and good environments. And I think if you're an entity that gives back to the community, if you're an entity that has work events with employees, We have an agent, Worldwide Land Transfer, that we work with up in Philadelphia that does an amazing job with culture around rap videos that they put out on YouTube and Halloween parties. Brian's group does a lot around team events on an annual basis. So I think compensation is so important. But if you don't have a good work culture, you're kind of dead in the water. And if you don't promote that culture on your Facebook page and your social media pages, and you don't become or promote an environment where people want to be, they're not going to know who you are, and they're not going to work there, or at least want to work there. So I think beyond money, it's really culture that people are looking for, an environment. Brian, I hope that, I don't know if that answers your question, but that's what I'm bringing to the table right now.
He said it was a great response. It's perfect.
Can we get Eric to rap, please? Is that possible?
Right. I didn't know that was an option here.
There are some interesting videos. I will say that. I give them credit. For trying. Now their Halloween party is out of this world.
Wow.
Yeah. They do that every year. So, can we get a rap battle between Eric and Ryan? I'm not winning that one. I can promise you that.
I don't think I even know how to rhyme, let alone rap.
I think one of the things that you said that kind of comes up a lot for us when we're helping people when they're thinking about their marketing and branding and communications, they often come to us and they're like, help us sell our culture, help us talk about what we do better. And we've got a whole process for that. But I think some people, I don't know if you guys have the same experience or if you would give the same advice. So I would love some agreement or pushback. But we talk to our folks a lot about how a lot of them don't do a good enough job of really defining that culture piece that you're talking about, or they don't think that they have it, or they don't think that they have benefits that can compete with somebody else. Like if an employee is going to leave, if they're in a compensation corner, I love that phrase, Ryan, I will definitely be using that in the future. If they're in that, they don't think that they can compete. But then the more we peel back that onion, they'll say things like, well, we offer some tuition reimbursement or childcare costs or who knows what. They've got all these little things that they don't see as actual benefits because it's not the traditional 401k and vacation time and things like that. How are people approaching that from your guys' perspective right now?
Well, it's really good question, Wayne. It's really all across the board. And it really depends on the individual culture. There's a huge difference in many cultures in this space from what we have seen just based on all the companies we have partnered with over the years. And at the end of the day, the interesting thing about the compensation and benefit piece is it's all coming from the same pie. And some companies choose to compensate their people based on straight cash. I'm going to pay you more than everybody else. But we're not going to do all those fun things. We're not going to have candy in the office. We're not going to do, bring your pet to the office day. We're not doing any of that stuff. We're going to pay you more than everybody else. And some people are cool with that. That's fine. Some companies maybe pay a little less, but they have all kinds of fun little things going around the office and maybe more tickets to games and maybe concerts, et cetera, et cetera. But at the end of the day, it comes down to there's only so much that can go around. So, but then there are other companies that do a little bit of both. And they're competitive in their own way in different categories. So it's really about finding the culture mix that you want to put out there as an employer. And is it sustainable? Because let's face it, in a high production environment where it's, for lack of better words, more of a cube farm, there's only so much you can do. There's hundreds of people out there, and you can't. Right. I've seen we've partnered with companies that are fantastic, and we'll always love them. And they started with 50 or 60 when we got involved, and 10 years later they're at 500 or 600. And I know one company, I won't name any names in particular, we have a lot of love for. They used to celebrate everybody's birthday with a cake. Well, it got to the point where they couldn't keep up anymore. They couldn't do the cake thing anymore, and it was kind of a big deal for people.
I'm sure.
But,
wait, that wasn't us, was it?
No, I don't think so.
Did we do that?
We did do that for a while. I think we just
did we do that?
Cakes, yeah. It wasn't logistically possible for this other example, though.
Well,
So,
without naming any names, do you guys have one of your favorite stories from one of your searches that's led to incredible success, or an anecdote that you use sometimes when you're talking about how, that your process works? And I think any of us that serve some of these sort of niche industries know that when you've got the secret sauce, and you guys certainly do when it comes to the search piece of all of this. So do you have anything that you want to share with everybody as like one of your most prideful searches or successful or anything like that?
Oh, I don't know about most successful. I mean, we've done a lot of volume searches. We've done a lot of mid-level leadership positions and CEO roles. I mean, it's about the thing about recruiting is never taking your foot off the gas pedal. And we did a search in Seattle that was 14 months long, and we had one candidate in California and one candidate in Houston. And we went to the California candidate as our number one. We stayed there for 3 months, couldn't get the deal done. We were on the Houston candidate for probably 2 months. That deal fell through. We went back to the California candidate, and it took 60 more days to get that search done. Bill's still there, and Bill, that team, and Bill has grown that entity considerably. He led the other Bill out of into an acquisition where a new entity came in and bought the company, and we did a lot of work for him along the way. So it's there's not one I think we can really point to and say that was our best hire, our most successful hire. It really comes down to you have to grind it out every single day, and if you do that, you will be successful. And I think that's where our clients aren't great at, right? Is they don't have the time or the bandwidth to do that. And the most important thing we've really focused on the last 2 years, and it's changing a little bit, is not can we find bodies and put bodies into positions. It's can you fend off counteroffers. And you have to not just work to find a candidate and not just work to get ink on paper and hope they show up day one. There's a resignation period that there's a lot of hand-holding that needs to be done to make sure that candidate comes over and that new hire comes over. If you don't do anything and you drop the ball, now you're back to square one, and square one could add 60 days or 90 days to the mix. So I don't know, right? We've done so much good work. I hope in this industry, right? we got some good hires. Had some probably not so good ones.
Yeah. Sometimes folks, maybe they talk to us and they think, well, these guys have been doing this for a long time and they're going to have the magic bullet for us and it's going to work no matter what. And we'll go out and we'll find the individual or individuals that fit the job description and even potentially fit the culture. And sometimes it just doesn't work. It doesn't happen very often, but that's just the reality. But I think if clients were to compare with their own internal success rate, I think we'd be positioned pretty favorably there. But at the end of the day, look, we've had an opportunity to work with a whole bunch of different organizations, big and small and everything in between, as I mentioned, and we've had a lot of success partnering with the right employers. And at the end of the day, it comes down to the employer, because that's where the candidate's going to work every day. Once we're out of the picture, they're left with the candidate and the employer,
right?
And they have to get along. And so we do our best to identify the personality traits that suggest the best long-term success. And we have plenty of situations. Eric and I were just talking yesterday. We had a little volunteer event that we were doing as a company, and we were just talking about some long-term placements. And the one individual, without naming names, we're talking about has been with their employer that we placed before we started this company. And that was, I don't know, 2005 or 2006, something like that. She started there and she's still there, and that's cool. And there's a lot of stories like that, and you love to see that as often as possible. But people change jobs,
right?
They have life events that happen. Things happen and they move on. And so if we can add that value for as long as possible, then we'd love to do that.
Well, speaking about volunteer events, you do not want the AndersonBiro crew painting any more
Oof.
hallways or ceilings. And we were absolutely giving back to the community, but now they have to hire like real painters to go
Paint over our paint. Yeah.
yeah. So especially the ceiling. We're not gonna call out Luke or Kenny on that, but it was
Oh boy.
it was not great.
Oh
It's
boy.
good to know what you're good at and what you need to work with sometimes. So that's and Brian's right. It's called a good base coat. That's a smart way to think about it.
Yeah.
That's a good base coat.
Well, I love the mentioning in part of that about the anecdote and the successful piece, the time, because that's for most things, with especially in this industry, but I think in general, what people are willing to spend their time on. And when you're talking about searches that sometimes last that long and are super complicated, companies just aren't necessarily equipped for that. So that's why they have you all. As we get to close this out here, we try to keep these right around 30 minutes, which we're at that mark. I'll turn it over to Heather to do a little bit of our lightning round. This is something that in this webinar series we've had a lot of fun with. We've had a lot of really random questions and random answers. It's not meant to be something that you think about super long. It's just she's going to ask questions like, is a hot dog a sandwich, that kind of thing, and you'll give your opinion on some of the fun stuff, because in this industry especially, we talk a lot of the heavy stuff all the time. We want to show a little bit of personality in this too. So Heather, I'll turn it over to you for some of your lightning round here.
Thank you, Wayne. Yes, this is whatever comes to your mind first. Don't put a lot of thought into it. Do you ever wear socks with sandals?
No.
One
Not
time to the
Jehovah.
mailbox, but then my wife yelled at me.
Perfect. Well, now you don't do that anymore.
No.
A cheeseburger or hot dog?
Cheeseburger.
Cheeseburger.
Nickname your parents used to call you?
Pyromania.
Rhino.
I feel like that's a common one for Ryan.
Yeah. Ryan
it-
used to be a unique name, not anymore.
Is it wrong for a vegetarian to eat animal crackers?
No.
You'd be surprised. This is a hot topic.
Question.
Yeah. Climb a mountain or jump from a plane?
Mountain. Right. Well, Ryan almost died jumping from a plane once. So he
True. I did get
Is there
into a skydiving accident, but I'm still
Yeah.
here. And but I would do that again for sure. I'm gonna check that off the box. Check that box a little bit later, one more time.
Wow.
Wow, that's ballsy. How many pull-ups can you do in a row?
Oof.
I'm a little out of shape, maybe 20 now.
Yeah.
Out of shape and do 20. I'm impressed.
I'm gonna say 20.01.
Love it. Stale Sour Patch Kids or stale circus peanuts?
Sour Patch Kids.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with that one too. They both sound pretty gross though.
Invisibility or super strength?
Super strength.
Yeah, it would be nice to be infinitely strong, but being invisible has its upsides too.
Yeah, it does. Is double dipping at a party ever acceptable?
Absolutely. All the time.
I'm gonna disagree. I'm gonna say no. Unless it's your own party at home with your own bowl and your own bag of chips.
Say good day, mate, in an Australian accent.
Good day, mate.
Good day, mate.
That's pretty good.
That was pretty good.
And by popular demand, can you guys have a rap battle?
No, it's not that popular. I think one.
Maybe that can be your next community give back. We'll all put in a little bit of money there.
I don't see an upside to that, Heather.
I'm pretty sure 2 people in the chat wanted it, so
It's not going to happen. I'm going
If
to
you
promise
get
you
that
that.
to 50 people, then maybe.
oh, you know what? More requests are coming in. Looks like just
West
kidding.
Philadelphia, born and raised on a playground where I spent most of my days. Go ahead, Eric.
No, I'm not bringing anything to this. Trust me.
By Romania, it's you. You're up next on the mic.
I got nothing. I got nothing for you.
We appreciate you guys taking time out of your busy schedules to do this. Getting some booze now from your team, but
Getting booze from the. He's right next door, literally, to me.
we know you're busy, and I think that this will be really helpful to folks when they watch the recording later. And if you want to get in touch with Eric and Ryan, you can go to AndersonBiro.com. Also, we talked a lot about LinkedIn earlier today. You can hook up with them on LinkedIn. And if you want their information, like I said, it will be in the description of the video when we post this later on. So as always, Ryan and Eric, appreciate you both very much. And thank you all for attending today.
Yes, thank you both.
Thanks,
Thank you for
guys.
having me.
Yeah, thanks for everything you do. You guys are great, and we appreciate the help. All right.
Thanks, guys.
And
Yeah.
if you're not already signed up with Bo Digital, we do a great job. Shameless plug.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
All right.
Bye,
Thanks.
y'all.
Thank you very much.
Bye.